People who know me know I'm not politically correct. I like bourbon, guns, my favorite color is red, white, and blue, and I like my coffee black. Let's get to it. Welcome. Another fabulous episode of IVF On Demand. I'm your slightly sarcastic, stereotypical, and real American host, Eric Wilson. Coming at you somewhere in a bunker in the middle of Kentucky, fully prepared for the next apocalypse, and stocked up on my coffee as well. You can find me at eric@ibf.org. That's eric@ibf.org. Thanks for the follows and subscribes. Follow me on LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. You can find me there too, IVF On Demand. I want to thank Arkiva, driving business transformation by solving what others cannot. Thank you very much, Arkiva. Great sponsor. Thank you for being involved. Check them out. And also, you are with IBF right now. So I want to thank IBF for bringing these and making this possible. IBF has really been around for 41 years. It's about fostering the growth of demand planning, business forecasting, supply planning, predictive analytics, SNOP, and related fields. And it's been doing that, I said, for 40 years, and it's developed a vast body of knowledge to help support the 55,000 people worldwide that's a part of it. They do this through articles, conferences, podcasts, like you're watching right now, and various other mediums as well. Real quick, funny side story on this podcast and how it's being used. And actually, one of the best compliments I've gotten so far to date. We was recently at Chicago conference, and a gentleman came up to me and said they're actually utilizing this podcast as their training material. Every time they hire someone new, he has a list of podcasts they have to watch. Now, the funny part of the story was he then followed this up by saying he likes to watch the early ones and see how bad I was and in how much I've improved over time. So in essence, he's saying that I suck less now. So you two, I have 2 years worth of content here. So if you want to go back and watch 2 years worth of podcasts and see how bad I used to be and how much I improved, there's a lot of great content out there just with these podcasts alone. And you can see if I do actually suck less now. But as I said, we've developed a vast body of knowledge. One of the other things that IBF has been doing now for decades is the premier industry journal, the Journal of Business Forecasting. Comes out every quarter, and it's a phenomenal edition of practitioner articles by thought leaders, letting you know what they're doing in the field and innovative things that's happening. The spring of 2023 had articles from people like Pat Bauer, Jonathan, who I had on my podcast at the beginning of this year, Tim Holtz, people that you've seen on these podcasts that are writing articles for the journal as well. We also do another segment in the journal called 20 Questions to a Leader in the Field. This is a new segment they've been doing now for almost about a year now, started during COVID as well. And you can check out those. I said the spring 2023 had a lot of great content. Actually, the summer, by the time you're watching this, the summer of 2023, the journal is available now either online or you can get your copy if you're a member at ibf.org as well. So check those out at ibf.org. Check out the journal. Check out the past issues. You want to go back and check out all the issues we have available. There's decades worth of issues available for that. You can check out a lot of great high quality content in that journal as well. Well, today's episode, I'm going to try something just a little bit different for this show, at least, to see if it sucks less. Today, I'm actually no topic, no real pure direction with this that I want to do. What I want to do is I actually want to have Ryan on, who was the person in the spring of 2023 leader that we asked the 20 questions to and he responded to. So you can actually go back and read all the answers he had to more questions, but I picked out a few of those questions, added a few of my questions as well, maybe add some on the fly as we're talking. But today, I said no real topic. We're going to have a conversation. I guess it's like a interview that I'm going to do with Ryan. To let you know about today's special guest, he's from actually Black Rifle Coffee Company. Side note, absolutely love the product. Great culture, great company. And they've gone through a lot lately. In the last 10 years, I mean, they're only 10 years old. And they actually started as a direct consumer business. Now they can find them not only online, but in 10,000 stores. They're on Amazon, they're in Walmart. They are the quintessential omni-channel. And they have a large media presence. And in essence, they're a marketing company that happens to sell a great product. All of this adds to the complexity. That's why it's great to have Ryan on and actually talk a little bit more about it. The guest today is Ryan Harman. I already mentioned Black Rifle Company. They were founded in 2014 by a former U.S. Army Green Beret, Evan Haffer, who was built upon the mission of serving coffee and culture to people that love America. Ryan is the Director of Demand and Supply Planning at Black Rifle Coffee Company. He is not only a CPF, but he's actually went on and he's an ACPF, an Advanced Certified Professional Forecast from the Institute of Business Forecasting. I have a few questions for him today. Help me welcome Ryan. So welcome, Ryan.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
No problem. I got my coffee here. I'm good to go, and so I appreciate you coming on board. And I said today is just going to be we're just going to have a conversation, and hopefully the audience enjoys this as well. We're going to extend what you already did with the journal and just ask you some more questions. Is pretty much what I had planned.
Sounds good. Let's do it. Let's get into it.
Okay. Well, I want to start with one because hopefully everyone's familiar with Black Rifle Coffee, but they have grown like exponentially over the past few years, over the last decade. So, I mean, what kind of challenges does a high growth company like that, have for you? And how do you handle a lot of those challenges in a high growth type of industrial company like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I joined Black Rifle July of 2019, actually almost 4 years ago to the date. And at that time, it was mostly e-commerce, and even most of the e-commerce business was subscription. So very predictable business. Joe Schmo is buying one bag of Just Black this month and the next month, and it goes through on the same day every month. So it was very predictable, very easy to manage. The seasonality was the same as far as Q4 holiday shopping. And it's exploded into, we have specialty wholesale with Bass Pro. We have canned coffee all over the country. We're in Walmart now. And we've really just had an incredible team of people that have been sprinting for at least the 4 years I've been here to constantly keep up with it, because we need capacity, we need inventory, we need cash, we need all these things to maintain that growth and support that growth. So it's really been, I know it's kind of a generic answer, but it's been the whole supply chain, the whole value chain, and some phenomenal people that have just been sprinting as hard as they can to keep up with this growth. And it really helps to have a group of people that are aligned around this central mission. We're a coffee company. We sell great coffee at the end of the day, but we're also, we hire veterans. We're veteran owned and founded. We have a deeper mission and a deeper purpose. And so you get people in the same room that all feel and think the same way. And it's, you can make some pretty incredible things happen.
Okay. So in that journey, I mean, they've been around for a decade now. You came on board in 2019. Is that when they started really the demand planning journey? Or better question, at what point in this growth that they've had did they really start focusing on, hey, we need to start thinking about demand planning, forecasting, kind of more prediction and less reaction?
Yeah, so to give credit to the people who were there before me, there was some demand planning and forecasting being done, but officially I was the demand planner that was hired in July. I was tasked with bringing all the demand and forecasting and supply together and building it out. There's now a team of 16 people in what we call the planning department. So it has grown quite a bit from just me to 16 people. But I officially was the first demand planner, and I was trusted and given a lot of freedom to go make it happen, to build out these processes, to put SNOP together, to put these inventory targets together. to continue to support the business in its crazy growth.
Okay, kind of good. Then jumping back to that first question, then in a high growth company that you're putting together new processes. What are some of those processes that's unique in your industry, your company, to really help manage some of that reaction, that high growth that you have? Is there anything that's unique, or is it pretty much just the blocking and tackling and, like you said, running a sprint every day and just doing a lot of that?
Yeah, I don't know if it's unique, but we rely heavily on our channel leaders. We have historical data. We have great insight into what the business has done and what we believe it's going to continue to do. But we have incredible partners in our sales channels that they're looking forward. They know their businesses extremely well. Our sales partners, the marketing team. So we meet collaboratively with them, and we go through upcoming forecasts, promotions, new customers. So it's a little bit of everything, right? We have the history, we have the historical demand, what we think is going to continue, the trends, the seasonality. But our sales partners know the new customers. How many stores do they have? How many facings do they have? Are we doing a buy one get one on e-com next month? Are we doing a 20% off? They have those kind of deeper insights, and we come together and we come up with a consensus forecast that we move forward and plan everything against.
So it sounds like the beginnings of an SNOP process. I mean, do you guys have an SNOP, or is this a demand review that you're doing then?
I think we're still building it out. So I wouldn't yet say it's an official, very standardized SNOP, but it's on its way there. So we have these demand planning review meetings where we are finalizing these forecasts. And then once we all slap the table and agree on what it looks like, we take it from there and set inventory targets and make sure we've got everything under our roof to support the sales plans, and go from there. So it's on its way to becoming more of an official SNOP, but I would still call it demand planning reviews as of right now.
Well, I mean, that's still phenomenal. I mean, in 4 years with, battling all the other fires that you guys have, being able to put together a standardized process to build a consensus forecast. I mean, that's still phenomenal. There's probably a lot of people that's jealous of what you're doing there. So to that point, people are wearing lots of hats in that type of organization. They're doing multiple things, and they're really chasing down fires on a daily basis. How do you get everyone together to be able to build out that process and have time to be able to take a step back and go, okay, yeah, this is a problem now, but let's plan for what's going to happen in 2024 as well? How do you take the time to do that?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because there's so many things that are pulling your attention on a daily basis. You have what you need to get done, and then you have things that you could get done, but you might not necessarily need to. It's just having your priorities straight. And once again, understanding what's the most important thing we need to get done today, this week, this month, this year, whatever it is, and coming back to those other things that are causing problems that might not be issues we need to take care of right now. So it's keeping everybody on the same page. This is what we're aiming for. This is what we're working towards. And things will come up, and sometimes they need to be taken care of immediately, and sometimes they don't. And so it's just having that goal, that end goal in your mind of what we're working towards, and saying, does this stop me from doing what I'm working on right now? If it's not going to stop me, I need to keep pushing forward on some of these more other important tasks. And if it is going to impede our progress, then we need to take care of that before we can move forward. So it's just having your priorities straight.
That's great advice. Excellent. So social media has a huge impact in your business. I mean, I say you're a marketing company that happens to sell a great product as well. Yeah. So you have a huge marketing footprint and impact out there. I mean, even your CEO, how do you react to when people are influencers talking about you? I said your own CEO, some of the things he's done on social media that's really impacted your business. How do you react to those quickly enough? I mean, that seems like a big challenge for most organizations. Do you just, let's tackle this one, or do you have some type of insights and way of handling it?
Yeah, I mean, as the business has gotten bigger, the impact from some of those things has been less significant, or we're in a much better position to react. One of the more specific examples I can think of is Joe Rogan wore actually the same shirt I'm wearing right now, the Tactics Squatch shirt, on his podcast shortly after it came out, and it immediately became the most popular shirt we were selling, and we couldn't make enough of it. Now, we were fortunate enough, and are still fortunate enough, to own our own. We have our print shop here in Salt Lake City, Utah, where we are printing the shirts and then sending them off to the 3PL. So because of that, we were able to be a little more agile, change our production schedules around. We weren't waiting on co-mans to make the shirts for us. So we have had issues like that where, yeah, we went to a back order state for a period and we couldn't seem to catch up, but eventually we did. And to this day, it's actually still one of our most popular shirts, even over 3 years later now. But as the other pieces of the business have grown, some of those social media impacts have become, they're not per se less impactful, but the business has grown. And so it's a smaller percentage of impact on the business as a whole. So, but ultimately owning some of our own manufacturing is a huge help when it comes to pivoting quickly.
Okay, so that's helping you become more agile, being able to own some of
Yeah.
the manufacturing, own some of the supply chain, and being intimately involved in your own supply chain has allowed that agility for a fast-growing organization that you really need then as well. That's what
Yeah,
I'm hearing.
absolutely. Hmm.
Okay. Do you leverage that from a forecasting perspective then as well, as far as sending that downstream to help, make other parts of the supply chain you may not own a little more agile and reactive to your type of business as well? Do you work collaboratively outside of your own four walls?
Yeah, I mean, so we utilize co-mans as well as having our own internal production. And so we have incredible relationships with the people we work with. And, they're as agile as they can be. It's a little different from owning your own manufacturing, producing bagged coffee in-house. We could change the production schedule next week if we wanted to. Ideally, we don't, right? Because that prevents them from having as efficient of a production week as they possibly could. But yeah, we do have good relationships with our co-manufacturers, and we are able to pivot fairly quickly with them as well.
Okay. Well, I know some of the people are thinking this question, so I'll go ahead and ask it then as well. When you said you don't want to change next week, so you're frozen zone pretty much next week. What type of lead times are you working with then for your product?
Yeah, so internally, yes, we could change the production schedule next week if we really wanted to. We could probably
But you
change it
try not
tomorrow.
to. But you
Oh,
try not
absolutely.
to.
Yes, absolutely try not to. And typically it's only if something has been ordered that we weren't expecting, we're out of forecast, you know how it goes. And it just depends. We're anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks on some of our coffee products and a little more on some of our non-coffee items. So it just varies anywhere from, you can say, 1 to 8 weeks.
Okay. Because people, I mean, not being in the coffee industry, I'm thinking more of an agricultural type business, little extended type of lead times with coffee and any type of ag. I'm assuming your raw materials, there is really extended type of lead time with those.
Yeah, so I mean, green coffee, as probably most people in the coffee industry know, mostly comes from Brazil and Colombia. That's not exactly a couple hour boat ride over to the U.S. However, we have contracts in place where we're able to get to our contracts quickly. We're not ordering it, and it's taking months and months and months to get over here. So we're utilizing those suppliers and their warehousing here in the U.S. to be able to have much quicker access to the raw materials.
So what I'm hearing is you have agile manufacturing, responsive type supply chain. You've built up demand planning capabilities. So it sounds like, I mean, you guys have done the right things over the past, 5 years or so to really build out what you have today.
Yeah, we've made a lot of progress. I would say, especially in the last 2 years now, and a lot of that is leadership related. People coming in and having that higher vision or that better vision for what we need to do, where we need to get to, because you can't support the business growing at this rate without processes in place, without good people knowing what they're doing, and without the leaders having that vision of we have to be doing this to be able to support this. So it's really been these last couple of years where the supply chain has really taken off.
Okay. And it shows too. So one of the things when you're looking at that social media, back to that, the surprises that you may get in social media. You guys have a partnership or a sponsorship with Cowboys, I think, or something now as well. I think I read
Mhm.
that. So those type of things, either social media sponsorships, are those any of those brought into your SNOP process, your demand review that you're doing to help build consensus? Do you have visibility to anything, and what kind of discussions are happening with those?
Yeah, I mean, anything that's going to impact demand, what are we selling, what are we not selling? Any type of thing that involves that is being brought into those discussions. hey, we've got this partnership coming up. We have this new customer coming up. This is what they're going to buy, or maybe not this is what they're going to buy, but this is what the impact is going to be to these items. This is what we're going to sell. So yeah, absolutely. Like I said, our channel leaders, our sales leaders do an incredible job of giving us, you could say, the heads up, but it's a little more than a heads up, a little more in depth than a heads up of this is what's coming and this is what it's going to look like.
You've now just got a whole other bunch of people on that's watching this jealous now as well, because they like pull teeth to get anything from sales, and you're thinking, yeah, they give this to us. So my experience when I heard give to it, you mentioned, yeah, they may not tell exactly what they order, but when I hear from sales, it's like, yeah, we're going to do this promotion and it probably will do 20-30% more, and it's some unrealistic number or vague type numbers they give. You're getting specifics is what I heard, at least more specific than that a lot of times.
Yeah, I mean, long term, it's more, hey, this is what it might look like. And as it gets closer, it gets much more specific around, you could say, opening orders, exactly what they're going to be buying, what replenishment looks like. So the closer we get to it, the more accurate or more specific the data gets.
Now, you mentioned you're building to consensus. Do you ever have to push back then as far as, yeah, you say this, but we haven't seen this before, or our numbers look like something else. So do you ever got to push
Yeah,
back then?
yeah, absolutely. And having that relationship is really what drives having those constructive conversations where we can say, hey, you're showing 3x, this customer buying 3x of this item compared to a normal month. Is there a reason why it's so high? And sometimes there is. Maybe there's a promotion coming up. They're preloading for the holidays. And other times it's kind of a double take of, oh, yeah, you know what, they're probably not going to be buying that. So there's a lot of back and forth there. There's a lot of understanding on both ends and ultimately just working towards a number that's going to put us in the best possible position to support the business at the highest level.
Wow. So, I mean, this has been amazing and interesting. I got a couple more questions for you. Wish we could just keep going with this because I said this is fascinating for me. Uh, One of the things, so you've been there now 4 years almost to the date.
Mm-hmm.
You got a lot of experience. We talked about a lot of the great things that they've done. What do you think the biggest lesson learned that you had? If you had to go back and say, okay, yeah, I wish I would have done this differently, or wish we could have done this instead of that first. What's some of the biggest lessons learned that you have?
That's a really good question. And this is probably just myself as well, maybe not the business as a whole or both, but it's just to not get comfortable. You know, as we've built out a lot of these processes and improved so many things, never getting to a point where we kind of sit back and say, this is what we're going to just keep doing now for the next year, 2 years, but always looking to improve what you're doing. Oh, and just always looking around the corner. I mean, as we do in demand planning and forecasting, you can't look at now. You can't look at 6 months ago, a year ago. We look at it for different reasons. You always have to be looking forward. And so to not get comfortable with where you're at, always making sure you're looking around the corner to whatever the next thing is. Together, it puts us in a really good position to win. Because when you get everybody doing that, then, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all doing each other's work for each other and we're supporting each other. So don't get comfortable. Always be looking around the corner.
Okay, so be comfortable in that ambiguity that you're living in then, huh?
Yeah, I mean it's supply chain, right? It's
That
constantly
is.
changing, especially in a growing business. Yeah.
That is. So I got time for one more question. Final question is that, I mean, you've done a great job answering what we have so far. I said people can go back and read all the answers you have to a lot other questions in the spring edition of the Journal of Business Forecasting. But the final question I have for you is people just getting into this field. They're starting at a new company or they're just starting in the industry in general. What's some advice for someone that's just starting in demand planning, just starting in a new company? What's some advice that you have for that new person in the field?
Ooh, that's a really good
I like to
question.
end
If
with
I'm,
the
I'm
easy questions.
if I'm kind of thinking back in my mind now to when I first got into it and what would have helped me a lot. Demand planning and forecasting, sometimes it can feel, and especially at the beginning, like it's just you sitting in the corner coming up with some numbers and throwing them out there. Um, but it is really important to look around at everybody else and really get that input from everybody else because it's not just a job for you to do. You're not just going to sit in your office on your computer and pump some numbers out and everyone's going to go run and do it, but really to consider everyone's opinions, but while maintaining that baseline of this is what the trend looks like, this is what the seasonality looks like. So trust the numbers, but also trust the people around you, the people who know their channels better than you, because if you don't know what they're planning on selling, there's a good idea they probably do, or that they can point you in the right direction. So never stop learning. I mean, I love the work. As you know, I built a team out over the last couple of years. I do a lot less of the day-to-day work, and I miss it because I'm huge on Excel and forecasting and modeling and really digging into the numbers. I'm the guy who's at Disney with my family wondering how many Mickey pretzels they're selling that day and what the revenue looks like on it. And my wife will tell me to stop thinking like that, but I can't help it. So yeah, I love demand planning. I love inventory planning because I'm very logical. I love the numbers, but I also trust the people around me that they know what they're doing, and that, you know, they trust me that I know what I'm doing.
Well, great advice. I do have one other question. What's the best
Yes.
coffee roast out there I should get?
That is a good question. It depends, you know, light, medium, dark. Some people like light because it gets more of the coffee flavor, and some people like dark because you get more of the roast flavor. Um, so if you were to go to our website right now, I would recommend Gunship.
Okay, I will check it
Now,
out
I would
then.
also recommend signing up for the exclusive coffee subscription, which is a little more expensive. It's this bag that gets released once a month, and you have to be signed up for it ahead of time because there's only a small amount left over for the public to buy. But it's small batch, super exclusive coffee that's much higher quality than, you know, the normal stuff you're going to buy on the shelf every day.
I like small batch bourbon, so maybe I'll go into the small batch coffee next.
We at one point we did have a bourbon coffee. It was a limited time.
There you go.
That's gone now. I'll let you know when it's back.
Alrighty. Well, thank you very much, Ryan. It's been great, and hopefully the audience enjoyed this as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Eric. This was awesome.
Knew it'd be a great interview. Hope you enjoyed this new format as well. We're not going to do this all the time, but I thought it'd be a good break and give you a great opportunity to share some of the complexity they had and how they solved it as well. Well, that's a wrap for me. I'm going to go drink some bourbon, or coffee, shoot some guns, and do some predictive analytics. Maybe not in that order. My name is Eric. You can find me at eric@ibf.org. That's eric@ibf.org. Thanks, Arkiva, driving business transformation by solving what others cannot. And once again, you're with IBF right now. So thank IBF for putting on these podcasts and everything they do. Check them out at ibf.org. Also, if you like today's topic, I said you can check out Ryan's actual interview in the spring issue of the Journal of Business Forecasting, or go back. All the issues are available to members. Check it out at ibf.org, and all the other material we have available. Or go back and check out some of the early podcasts when I wasn't nearly as good. Check out those some as well at ibf.org on demand. So a lot of content out there you can consume. Hope you enjoy it. And remember, no matter what you do, where you are, don't forget, wash your hands. Okay, that was the easier part. The harder part is going to be interviewing him.